Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So it's handicap analysis time. I did post the Twitter thread or the X thread about this yesterday, highlighting these horses. But this video just gives me a chance to explain the horses a little bit further. I only get 280 characters on X, whereas I can speak for a good few minutes on videos. So we're starting off with Bless Him, who dropped £1 to 97. Now, I left him alone during in this race. You know, I'd highlighted that this was a race that I was very keen on. But I thought it was very interesting. Obviously, Jamie Spencer was suspended, and that kind of pushed me away from him. I think he's very difficult to get right, bless him, and things have to go spot on for him. Jamie Spencer was not able to ride because he was suspended, so I'm hoping that they that they're not deliberately ran him into trouble, but just thought, let's not, you know, give it everything in the Bunbury Cup, because there is a suitable race coming up for him in the not too distant future. Well, I say suitable, it's a race that he's ran well in before. He won in 2022. If we go back here, 2022, he was winning the Bunbury Cup, and then just over 2 weeks later he finished second at Ascot over 7 furlongs behind Fresh, who is another horse that we really like for that race, the Moe and Shandon International Stakes. Now, that came off a mark of 102 that day for Bless Him. As I've just mentioned, he's down to 97. So he's £5 lower than when he was a short head second in the Moe and Shandon International Stakes. Hopefully, Jamie can get back on board. You know, he won't be suspended. And if the ground is nice and fast for him, yeah, I'm still thinking he can run a big race. He didn't get the clearest of runs at Newmarket. It is a bit like Bless Him. That is kind of what he does sometimes. But Jamie going to Ascot would be where I hope we see Bless Him next. And that is on the 27th of July. Here it is, Saturday the 27th of July. It's this race here, the Moe and Shandon International Stakes. Moving on to the next horse, the handicap marker definitely caught my eye, and that's Eminency, who has dropped again down to 84 after a moderate run at Newmarket on the July course. Finished 5th of 13. He's gone off 16 to 1. I think it's a really strange thing to see Eminency so... It's just not working for him at the moment, is it? I mean, look at some of his form last year. He was behind Quino, Washington Heights, Millstream, and then it was Eminency. And they were the four that kept running against each other. You can see that Quino beat Washington Heights with Eminency back in third. We obviously highlighted Funny Story in that race as one to take out of it. And, I mean, that sort of form, when Eminency was running in those races off 87, you would have thought that the horse could certainly find a winnable handicap. It hasn't worked as of yet. They stepped up to 7. I don't think that quite worked. I think they'll drop him back to 6 now. Back to 6 off 84. I'd love to see the Stewards Cup split again into a consolation race, because he's got a second. That was probably his best run recently, when he was second at Goodwood over 6. Back in June. He was only beaten a nose by Haymaker that day. That came off 83. He'd be off 84. Yeah, if they do split that race and they give a consolation race for the Stewards Cup, that could be an interesting one for Eminency. But he's definitely one to keep an eye out for. But I'm not super strong on him. It would have to be in a race that I think actually suits him. Maybe back to the Newmarket course when they go back to the Rowley Mile rather than the July course. Moving on to Yakel, who's dropped £1 to 99. Now, he's getting expensive if you keep backing him. You say that. I mean, he's only been beaten for 6 times in his last 7. Okay. But he's at least finished second on a couple of occasions. Yes, he's been short priced for a lot of those runs. Yes, he's been well fancied. Now, I kind of feel on his return here, he lacked a bit of pace. I thought he looked like he needed further. And I would love to see him stepped up in trip for the summer handicap, the 1 mile 6 at Goodwood, just to see if the 1 mile 6 is actually what he's been needing and wanting. I mean, he started out his career over a mile. He actually ran over 1.5 miles a furlong. So to be running over 1.5 miles a furlong, considering that was your debut, The mile and 6 should be well within his reach. And it's a bit surprising that they've not gone there yet. However, it might have been the plan to come back as a 5-year-old and go up in trip. Obviously, they've only been able to get the one run into him so far due to different reasons. The race has been abandoned. He's been pulled out due to the ground. And yeah, maybe if he goes to... Now he's had that run. You know, what was that? 273 days off the track. Now he's had a run after a 273 days off. He might just find that a little bit more, because he wasn't beaten far. He was only beaten 4 lengths in a feature a decent handicap behind Passion and Glory and Ziggy. Yeah, maybe Yakel just needs a bit further now, and he would be very interesting if he does turn up in this race at Goodwood. With regards to trips, Poniros has caught my eye the last couple of times. But he actually caught my eye 3 runs ago when he was narrowly beaten by King's Gambit. I say narrowly, he was beaten by 4 lengths. But he was in front of Chantilly, in front of Persica. Both have done pretty well since. And I wonder whether that's the thing with Poniros. Maybe, although he stayed on strongly at Newbury, if you took the winner out, he's won the race over a mile and 2. So what was the need to go up in trip? Maybe they just thought, you know, we're going up in trip because we got beat. And they did get beat, you know, they got comfortably beat. But they got beat by King's Gambit, who he should have won at Ascot, shouldn't he? Should have won at Ascot, beating JRB, you know, a group and winning a Group 3. I mean, he was clearly incredibly well handicapped when he beat Poniros. Poniros, that came off 88 for Poniros. He's only rated 91 now because he's dropped £1 for his last effort. Yeah, I'd be prepared to go back in trip with Poniros. And there's a race here, this Coral Skinsem Handicap Stakes. I think that's the race that I liked. That is a race that he could be going for because of the prize money. The race I would love to see him in, I think he would win this one. It's a little bit of a wait. It's a month from today. It's this mile and 2 benchmark handicap stakes. Horses rated 76 and 95 for 3-year-olds at Newbury. Back to where he finished second behind King's Gambit. Yeah, I think he would win that race. I would be hopeful of a good run at Goodwood, but I wouldn't be confident. I wouldn't be totally sure he could win it because you're going to get all the good handicappers, 3-year-old handicappers. Whereas I think if they waited till Newbury, they would win it because they wouldn't be they clearly wouldn't be the same level of rivals. So that's Poniros. I'd like to see him drop back in trip. Moving on to Pink Crystal, who's dropped £2 to 100. Now, I'm a big fan of Pink Crystal. I think she's a smart mare. She's 5. She's a smart mare. She hasn't actually won. Well, her last win came at Ayr, beating Secret Angel in a listed race. And I kind of feel that's probably her level. Maybe she's not good enough for group races. She might be good enough for a Group 3, you know, if it comes up nice for her and things go to plan. However, she's probably not going to be going much higher than Group 3 level. What would I like to see them do with her, therefore? Go and get some prize money. So you've got Black Type with a listed win. You've also finished 3rd in a Group 3 before. Now go and win some big prize money. And this Ayr Gold Cup, it's worth 92 grand for the winner. Interestingly, let's just have a look at her last few runs. What have they been worth? It's worth 92 grand to win the Ayr Gold Cup. Last time out was worth 48, 31 and 28. Nearly all of those together. Yeah, it might even be... It'd be close if I added those up. I can't do it off the top of my head. So, yeah, go for the Ayr Gold Cup. You've got 2 runs at Ayr. You finished second over 5 furlongs and 110 yards. And you won a listed race over 5 furlongs and 110 yards. So, similar trips to what the Ayr Gold Cup would be. Why would you not run and try and win all that prize money? Now, some people instantly go, well, she's too high in the handicap. She's rated 100. Last year, the highest rated horse was 107. So that's rubbish that she would be too high rated off 100. She wouldn't even have to carry top weight. I'd love to see her in the Ayr Gold Cup. We do have another one later on in this video that I think would go close in an Ayr Gold Cup. But honestly, I think Pink Crystal... I don't know. I really don't know who I'd be fancying out of Pink Crystal and this one that's coming up later in the video. I'd probably have to do them both. So moving on to the next horse, which isn't the one for the Ayr Gold Cup, but this is Sophia's Starlight, who has dropped £2 to 91 for a disappointing run at Chelmsford. Now, interestingly, she's been kept on the all-weather the last couple of runs. That's not what she wants. She wants to go back to the turf, and when she comes back to the turf, I think she'll be good. Now, the last time she ran off on the turf, she was rated 95, and she ran a listed race. If we look back through her form, it's listed for this season. Last season, she ended with a listed run, having been in a listed race, then a Heritage Handicap, which was only 5 days after winning the Great St Wilfrid. So you can kind of forgive her that run. But back in Handicap company, she's had 2 runs in the last, like, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 runs in the last 10 have been in Handicap company. One of them was a win off 89. She's only rated 91. Surely she is coming back for the Great St Wilfrid, which she won last year, beating Summergand and Wob Wob Wob. I think both of those went on to win next time out, maybe, or very close to next time out. Let's have a quick check. Summergand and Wob Wob Wob. I love saying Wob Wob Wob. Let's load these up. So Summergand had finished 2nd before going to York and winning. And Wob 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 had finished 3rd before going to Ayr and winning. I mean, so she beat 2 subsequent winners in winning the Great St Wilfrid in Summergand and Wob Wob Wob. And she could come back this year off a £2 high mark. Yeah, she would be a strong selection. Strong selection in the Great St Wilfrid if she turns up. Surely Nick Bradley's got that race in mind. Moving on to the horse that I think was given the worst drop in the handicap. What I mean by that is if he had been able to run to his true level, he would have gone a lot closer. So it was over 5. It was Rohaan. He's dropped £3 for that, down to 96. That's mental. It was over 5. Go and watch the run through. He's only beaten 6 horses. He's finished 11th of 17. If he gets a clear run, I think he finishes in the top 5 at least. And it was over 5 furlongs. When he goes back up in trip to 6, I think he will take all of the beating. He could definitely win the race that he won last year, the Iron Stand. He won that 2-1 favourite, beating English Oak, who's obviously come out and won at Royal Ascot this season. Won that at 2-1 off a mark of 102, off a £6 higher mark. That's over 6 furlongs at Ascot. That's the key to him. You know, you get huge runs. The race that I would like to see him run in, however, though, is the Ayr Gold Cup. If we look, he finished down in... Where is he? Here he is, down in 7th. Look at his draw. He was terribly drawn in 25. He was right over this near side and had to be switched to try and join the group. Then came down the near side again. Things didn't quite go to plan. If he gets a better draw, I would instantly say, with a better draw, I'd have put him in the top 4. And that was last year. That was when he was running off a mark of 104. If he was running off £8 lower, yeah, he's going to go really close. Him and Pink Crystal and even Summergand, if they turn up. If all 3 of those turn up, I will actually be backing all 3 of them for this Ayr Gold Cup. Despite Summergand actually finishing 24th of 24 last year, I still think he would be able to bounce back. But yeah, Rohaan, if they do decide to miss the Ayr Gold Cup and come straight to Ascot for the Iron Stand in October, whatever price you can get about him, I'd take it. You know, if it's bigger than like 2-1, I think he will win it, and I think he'd win it quite comfortably. 6 furlongs at Ascot is his ideal, but I do think he could run a really big race in the Ayr Gold Cup if they do decide to go up north and try and win a bit more prize money. He's already a dual Wokingham winner. Let's go and win some more prize money with him. And finally, the last horse I want to talk about is Beamish, who dropped £4 to 98. Now, Archie Watson has had this horse now for 3 runs. And look at the ground. It's been good to soft, good to firm, and good. He wants softer than that. To be fair, his comeback run after 544 days wasn't a bad effort. But as I said, it was after 544 days. It was in a handicap of a mark of 106. Well, the horse is now rated 98. He's now also got that fitness run. If he turned up there again, I actually think he would win that race that he was 6th in at Newbury. He just wants, I think the key to him though, is the ground. Look at the ground performances over in Ireland. Soft to heavy, soft. Including in a Group 3. He was 3rd behind Duke de Sessa and Thunderkiss in a Group 3 on soft over a mile and 4. That's the key to Beamish. It's the soft ground. He wants soft ground. It dried out too quickly for him at Newmarket. Keep an eye out when it rains and Archie gives him an entry. He would be very interesting. He's actually 66 to 1 for the Ebor. If it turned up really soft, you know, it came soft heavy, I think it could be interesting for something like the Ebor. We know he would act on the ground, whereas plenty of others and plenty of those that have been aimed at the race probably wouldn't. So he's definitely one you want to keep an eye out for when it becomes soft enough for him. That's Beamish, who's dropped £4 to 98. So a quick recap. Bless him. With Jamie Spencer back on board, I think he'll go close in the Moe and Shandon. We do also have Fresh hopefully being aimed at that. Eminency, his form last year kind of suggests that he should be doing better than what he is. If the Stewards Cup is split and they do a consolation race, that would certainly interest me for Eminency. Yakel, on his first run back for 273 days, I thought he ran okay, but looked like he lacked a bit of speed. Up in trip, potentially, for the 1 mile 6 race at Goodwood. And then potentially in the Ebor. I don't think he's got an entry at the moment, but it would be interesting to see if they can give him one. They could supplement him for it. Poniros, disappointed the last twice after finishing 2nd to King's Gambit at Newbury. Maybe the trip is actually catching him out. Maybe he doesn't want the 1.5 miles. Drop him back in trip. He would win the race at Newbury. I'd be really confident of that on the 17th of August. But I think they might get tempted by the prize money on the 1st of August at Goodwood. Pink Crystal isn't going to be winning Group 2s and Group 1 races. Could win a Group 3. Could win listed races. But at the moment, off that new mark of 100, why don't they try and target the Ayr Gold Cup with her? 2 runs at Ayr, a win in a listed race and a 2nd in a listed race behind Gale Force Maya. Sophia's Starlight has dropped in the handicap. Got to go back for the Great St Wilfrid. Won it last year. £2 higher this year. Beat subsequent winners Summergand and Wob Wob Wob. Rohaan has been dropped a very kind £3 to 96. He wants 6 furlongs, not 5. Ascot suits him perfectly, but he would be very interesting in the Ayr Gold Cup, considering he ran so well last year when actually not getting the clearest of runs and things didn't quite work out. That came off a mark, as I said, of 104. He's £8 lower now. And finally, Beamish, who when he gets his ground, I think he will be able to bounce back. The handicap is being kind to him, dropping him so much, considering he's not getting the ground he actually wants.